Välkommen igen till boken The Life of the Virgin Mary, the Theotokos. Del 4 blir det här då. Och på ett annat ställe så har det blivit del 5. Så att det är lite, ni får hänga med här och lyssna på del 4 om den heliga Guds moder Marias liv. Och det är alltså en bok från ortodoxa traditionen, skriven av munkar och ihopsatt kan man väl säga av olika apokryfa texter i den ortodoxa traditionen. Holy Apostles Convent, Domitian Skite i Buena Vista, Colorado. Och det är tips från Josiah Trenham, ortodox präst som också i USA, som också bedriver verksamheten Patristic Nectar, som jag varmt rekommenderar. Det är Bibeln, skrifter och kyrkofäder, föreläsningar. Fantastiskt, man kan lyssna på jättemycket. Så det hänvisar jag. Det är han som har tipsat om den här. Och jag känner att Gud vill att jag ska läsa från den här för att dela med mig av den, eftersom jag skaffade den. Det är ju inte en bok som man bara alla skaffar sig typ sådär. Så jag fortsätter här. Apocryphal sources in Marian theology. Det här är intro fortfarande, alltså som jag läser. It should be understood that all that is good and edifying in the Apocrypha has already been absorbed by the Church. These true accounts have been presented to the faithful through the hymns, iconography and writings of the Holy Fathers, and there is no need for the Orthodox Christian to search these writings. Another important factor is the role in which the Apocrypha plays in Marian theology. The origin of 4 major feasts of the Theotokos, her conception December 9th, her nativity September 9th, her entrance into the temple November 21st, and her Domitian August 15 are taken from the Proto-Evangelium of James. Pseudo-Matthew, the Gospel of the Nativity of Mary, the falling asleep of Mary, and the passing of Mary, respectively. The influence of apocryphal writings in these services, and especially in the sacred art of iconography, has often been more marked than that of the canonical Gospels. Admittedly, some of the little stories within these narratives have been proved demonstrably unreliable. Within others have influenced the development of the doctrine, notably in the conception, entrance, annunciation, and Domitian of the Theotokos. Where apocryphal and secondary sources are used, that will be so indicated within the present text. The influence in both art and literature of the Proto-Evangelium has been considerably, and great is the family of texts which borrowed from it. As we indicated, 4 major feasts of the Virgin and the feast of her parents are derived from the Apocryphon. Pseudo-Matthew, an adaptation of the Proto-Evangelium, appeared in the West between the 4th and 6th centuries. The Gospel of Thomas is avoided completely because invention is unbridled and often bizarre and distasteful. Saint Cyril of Jerusalem asserts that this Gospel of Thomas was written by the Manichaeans and is especially harmful and corrupts simple people. The Gospel of the birth of Mary is a Latin account of the Virgin's birth and childhood. It is included among the works attributed to the blessed Jerome, but it is actually an improved version of the first part of the Gospel of Pseudo-Matthew, which in turn is based on the Proto-Evangelium of James. Another apocryphal account, the history of Joseph the carpenter, may have been originally written in Greek. It is now extant only in Coptic and the Arabic translation made from the Coptic. The translations which have been utilized have been made from the critical edition of the Tickendorf, who is of the opinion that the text dates to the 4th century. This document is the oldest one extant intended to glorify the elder Joseph and foster his cult. The fathers use apocryphal sources. As we will soon learn, apocryphal details drawn from the Proto-Evangelium of James and other sources are particularly plentiful in sermons from the Holy Fathers. Some examples are St. Andrew of Crete in his homily on the Annunciation, works attributed to the Saint Germanus, Patriarch of Constantinople, and Saint Gregory the Wonder Worker. A contemporary of Saint Photios, Saint George, Bishop of Nicomedia, also makes extensive use of the apocryphal details in his homilies. Also, we shall read how Saint Photios in his homilies used the semi-dramatic form which does nothing more than follow a tradition which had become firmly entrenched by the 9th century. This particular form had been established in Byzantine literature by the 5th century, as demonstrated by the short dialogue found in Annunciation homily by the priest-monk Saint Hesychios of Jerusalem. Apocrypha dealing with the Theotokos, Domitian, and eventually Assumption can be based on Syriac manuscripts from the 2nd century. There are many versions in about 9 different languages. Several Greek homilies drawing from these apocryphal sources dealt with her Domitian and bodily translation. Some were authored by St. Gregory Palamas, St. Andrew of Crete, St. Germanus of Constantinople, and St. Gregory of Tours. The emphasis on the apostles as eyewitnesses would suggest that it was of apostolic origin. Så detta var intro nummer 4 här då på TikTok, och sen har jag en intro till som kommer senare. Hej! Gud välsigna er. Amen.